Okay. Hi, this is Dr. Daniels, and welcome to the Customer Appreciation Webinar. And the purpose of this webinar is I appreciate you. And I also want to give you information to help you get even more benefit out of your Vitality Capsules usage. So I'm going to cover what Vitality Capsules do, how they work, what you can expect, and different ways that you can use them. And then I'm going to answer questions. So what vitality capsules are is a way to get waste out of your body, and on many different levels. And this was what makes vitality capsules different and superior to many so-called laxatives. Is the vitality capsules actually work on several uh, levels. So let's talk about the different levels that vitality capsules work on. Um, One thing that vitality capsules do is empties the colon, and that's pretty straightforward. It causes the colon to contract and dumps waste out of the body. This is important because your toxin disposal system is essentially a linear tube, and you can't empty the middle before you empty the bottom. So it starts by emptying the bottom, which is the colon. Now, the colon and the small intestine are both parts of the same tube, but they're made of different muscle fibers, have different nerve controls. And so many laxatives or cleansers will empty the colon, but not the small intestine. And that's a huge, huge oversight, because what happens is the liver empties directly into the small intestine. So if you have the small intestine still somewhat clogged, then sure, you're going to empty the colon, but you're still not going to cause any deeper cleansing in the body. So the vitality capsules empty the colon, and they also at the same time empty the small intestine. This is a huge, huge advantage, because now with the small intestine being cleared, the bile ducts, which leave the liver, are able to now empty into the small intestine. And so now you have increased flow. The liver has an opportunity to release its toxins. So for most people who are pooping, say, once a day or less, they actually have sluggish bile emptying. In other words, the liver is not emptying its bile ducts very well. Now, so empty the colon. The next level is empty the small intestine. And everyone hears a lot about the gallbladder and the bile ducts. The purpose of the gallbladder is to store bile and release it at the time of a meal to accelerate digestion. And this is the part that we hear a lot about. What we don't hear about is the very, very, very small bile ducts that are in the liver. So the liver is actually um, a little more than half of the liver is liver cells, and almost half is bile ducts. And the liver is arranged in sheets of liver cells holding hands with each other, and in between each sheet is bile. So you have a liver cell. On one side is the blood flowing over the liver cell. The liver sucks in the toxins from that blood and dumps them out the other side into the bile, the flow of bile. Now, when the bile flow is sluggish and isn't emptying briskly into the main bile ducts and gallbladder, then that stagnation causes stone formation. And these stones actually form in the liver itself. They clog the liver, and the liver does not detoxify the blood. What the liver will do, the liver cell will say, oh, wait, I can't put any more stuff into the bile. And so it'll just allow the blood to slide right by, filled with toxins. And this is what causes so many people to have disease, and it causes disease to persist and be perpetual, even though the person might say increase the number of bowel movements. The problem is the actual liver itself is not able to clean the blood any better because the bile is stagnant. What Vitality Capsules do is they increase the bile flow. So you've increased the bile flow, so now the bile is leaving the liver, which means there's a space for the liver to dump its toxins. And this means that the liver is going to actually do a much, much better job. And so the Vitality Capsules then empty the colon, empty the small intestine so that the bile can flow, and then work directly on the liver, creating more bile flow. And so what this does is this acts like a suction, literally pulling toxins out of the blood into the bile. So most cleansers will work at the level of the colon. They might even work at the small intestine. But to actually get into the liver, dissolve, get the bile to flow quickly. And when the bile flows quicker, the stones actually start melting and start dissolving. It's like running water over ice. And so you're going to melt those ice cubes. And this actually increases liver function. But the Vitality Capsules don't stop there. They also have ingredients, namely the garlic, the ginger, and cayenne, if you're taking extra strength, to improve circulation. This means that blood now passes through parts of the body that it hasn't been into for a while. And it picks up toxins from those areas, brings them to the liver for disposal. So now you've got the cleanser reaching not only to the intestines to empty them, but into the liver to get the liver to cleanse itself by increasing bile flow, and then reaching beyond the liver to the circulation to accelerate circulation. So when circulation is accelerated, now the food that you're absorbing into your blood, the nutrition in your blood, is reaching more cells, and more cells are able to put their waste into the blood, and that waste can now even reach the liver. And these extra levels of cleansing, accelerating the body's circulation and getting the liver to dump more trash, cause Vitality Capsules to give people the feeling of increased energy. And so it's not the increased energy you might get, say, from a stimulant like coffee or something like that. Instead, it's the increased energy you get because nutrition is actually reaching more of your cells. And it's an amazing thing. I'll tell you the story of what happened. My mother, one evening, I went over to her house with the kids, and she was sitting in a chair, and she says, well, you know, I'm 70-something now. I am now emeritus. And that means that I no longer do anything. I just am going to sit in a chair and talk about all the things I used to do. And so I'm pretty much done, and that's it. I'm just going to sit in my chair. And I said, well, wait a minute. That makes no sense. And I said, well, here, Mom, why don't you just take some Vitality Capsules. Take 2 Vitality Capsules and see how you feel. And it was about 7 o'clock. And so she took those 2 Vitality Capsules. And about half an hour later, she got up out of her chair and said, you know what? I've been meaning to paint this kitchen. I'm going to paint this kitchen. And she started ordering my kids around, and by golly, they painted that kitchen that very same evening. And this is because her circulation had been improved. So in that 2-hour span of time, and she had all this energy and started doing things, she hadn't had a bowel movement, but what did happen was she immediately had the experience of the improved circulation. So the way that Vitality Capsules work is they work on all different levels of detoxing. And that's what makes them such an amazing product that can really fast forward your health and make you reach or help you reach your health goals a lot quicker. So that is how they work. Now, how do you use them? The best way to use Vitality Capsules is to take them with a meal, one meal. Take them all at the same time, every day, with the same meal. The best meal to take them at is your largest meal. Now, this is all optimal. Depending on your daily schedule, depending on a lot of things, you may find it's more convenient for you to take the Vitality Capsules with a different meal that may not be your largest meal, for example. So the best way to take them is all at once with a meal. How do you take them with a meal? You take a bite of food and chew it, swallow it. Then you take more food. Then you take your Vitality Capsules and follow that by food. So the Vitality Capsules have to be preceded by food and followed by food. And this way, the Vitality Capsules will start working on your system, and you will not have stomach irritation. Now, the other thing about Vitality Capsules is timing them. Everyone has a time delay. So some people will take Vitality Capsules and they'll have a bowel movement an hour later. Some people will take Vitality Capsules and have a bowel movement 10 hours later. Everybody's different. So the way to start Vitality Capsules, I would recommend starting them on your day off or the day before your day off. And that way you can see what your delay is in terms of how much time will lapse between when you take the capsule and when you have bowel movement. And then you can work backwards and time your capsule taking so that your bowel movements happen at a convenient time. For example, maybe you have to be in the car driving for an hour or two, same time every day. Then you want to take your Vitality Capsules so that you don't need to use the bathroom during that interval, for example. So you take your Vitality Capsules with meals, you time your Vitality Capsules as to when you want to take them. Now the next thing is stools. So first of all, stool frequency. You want to have 3 stools a day. The reason for this is you want to generate enough bile flow so the liver can up its game and do a better job and be more effective. So with 1 stool a day, your liver can't rise to a level of cleansing necessary for healing. So at 1 bowel movement a day, maybe your health will stay stagnant where it is. But when you increase that to 3 bowel movements a day, especially with Vitality Capsules, you're going to increase the bowel flow. You're going to increase that detoxification of the liver, and the liver is going to be able to filter your blood a lot better. So you really want to go for those 3 bowel movements a day. Some people say, oh, I only eat once a day. That's nice, but you still need to poop 3 times a day, even though you eat once a day. All right, the next question I get a lot of is, what about the consistency of the poo? Do they all need to be formed bowel movements? The answer is the consistency of your bowel movements is actually irrelevant. The important thing is to have them. So if you're having watery stools that are not formed, that's perfectly okay. What's going to happen is you're going to go through periods of watery stools, and then they're going to firm up, and your body's going to do whatever it needs to do, but it needs 3 bowel movements a day to get the job done. So the consistency of the stools is actually not important. Many people have very hard, firm, formed stools. You definitely don't want that. That's a sign of dehydration and constipation. So you want to drink more water and you want to have more bowel movements. You want to at least have stools that are on the softer side. So if you have 1 formed stool a day and 2 watery stools, not a problem. Not a problem at all. The important thing is to get the waste out. Now, so we've covered how Vitality Capsules work, the best way to use them. Okay, there are many other tips on using them. So let's say you have a lifestyle where the bathroom availability is not great. Maybe you work as a wire repairman up in the air stringing wires, and there's just not a bathroom up there if you have to use one. So what some people do, if they are absolutely the best they can do is once a day during the week, and then they have every 2 days off, is they'll take their Vitality Capsules on the weekend and have 4 to 6 bowel movements a day for 2 days on the weekend because they can't have bowel movements during the week. This is an excellent option, and it works great for advancing your healing, helping it move along, even though your lifestyle, for the most part, might not permit the number of bowel movements that you need. And I'll tell you a story of my brother. He worked in IT. Now, there's something going on with IT. I have no idea. But even at his company, he worked for a large company in the U.S., the IT people were having strokes. People were just, they were having strokes. And the other problem with so they were losing their IT people to strokes. And there's something about the IT job. Maybe there's a lot of sitting. They just don't have opportunity to use the bathroom. And so I explained to him, he was telling me he had some health problems. I said, well, Eugene, you've got to poop 3 times a day. He says, well, I can't do that. I just can't do that. Now, he had a problem of a 2-hour commute each way, so he couldn't use the bathroom while he was in the car, couldn't have a bowel movement at that point. That's 4 hours a day gone. Then, while he was at work, he was stringing wire, putting modules together, or doing programs or whatever. No opportunity there. So we basically had a good 12 hours of his day where he was not, he could not use the bathroom. And then, of course, he decided to take an evening course or something. And so everything was all crammed. So I said, well, what about the weekends? He said, oh, weekends, I'm home all day on the weekends. And so we developed a plan for him where he literally pooped. He picked one day, and that one day he would poop 8 times. And that worked actually very well for him until his wife said, you know what, you're stinking up the place. This is terrible. And so then he stopped doing his weekly cleanouts, and it took about, I want to say, about 6 months, and he had a stroke. So you really have to get on this. And if you notice that you're not feeling, let's just use the word perfect, that you're having a few symptoms, then it's time to do something. And if you have a lifestyle, maybe you're working overtime, maybe you have a second job, whatever's going on, you're not able to use the bathroom 3 times a day, then take or dedicate 1 or 2 weekend days. Figure out what number of Vitality capsules it takes, and on that one day, have 6 to 10 bowel movements. And you will see that will be a big help to you. So that is another advanced use for Vitality capsules. And even if you are able to use the bathroom 3 times a day during the week, you can still pick a weekend day where you're going to have more bowel movements, say 5 or 6 or 10, whatever number is comfortable for you. So if you're already doing 3 bowel movements a day, then I would pick the enhanced clean out day maybe once or twice a month. If you are not able to have 3 bowel movements a day because of your lifestyle, because of other demands in your life, then you want to make sure every week pick a day, and that day you want to have additional bowel movements. I always say somewhere between 6 and 10 for sure. Another enhanced use of Vitality capsules is travel. Travel for most people is very, very treacherous for many reasons. The 2 reasons that travel is extremely dangerous is actually not related to diet. The first is not enough water. So if you're traveling by plane, for example, you've got to literally many people have to leave their house 4 hours before their plane leaves the ground. And so you've got to drive to the airport. You have a wait at the airport, this line, that line, the other line. There are periods where all of your water is taken away from you, where you're limited in terms of your water. And so it's easy to get dehydrated. And also when you're up in the air, there's increased water loss because the humidity is generally lower, and they don't hand out a lot of water. So dehydration is the first hazard of travel. And so you've got to aggressively tackle that. And what I do if I have to go to the airport is I would drink at least a liter of water before I even leave the house. The next thing that I do, but having done that, as soon as I get to the airport, I've got to use the bathroom. All right, so we've got by that hurdle. The next thing I do is as soon as I get past the security check, I buy water. Yes, it's overpriced. However, it's cheaper than a stroke. So buy some water, at least a half liter, maybe a liter, and drink that during the 1 hour wait that you have before you get in the plane. Then when you get on the plane, okay, now you're on the plane. The next thing you do on the plane is you want to use the bathroom at least once an hour while you're in the air. So you want to drink enough water so that there's constant flow, constant flow, constant flow. Okay, so that's the first hazard to traveling. And that hazard exists even if you're maybe going on a 6-hour car trip or going on a train trip, the dehydration is an issue. The next issue is constipation. So why do people get constipated when they travel? They get constipated when they travel because of the incredible increased sitting. You're sitting in a chair, you're sitting on a plane, you're sitting in a train, you're sitting in a car, but you are sitting. When you're sitting, what happens? You literally have pressure on your rectum, and that pressure on your rectum sends a signal back to the rest of your body saying, hey, don't send any stuff down here, the exit is blocked. And so literally your body, while you're sitting, is being reprogrammed. Oh, no, can't poop. No, can't poop. It'll check back every half an hour or so, like, oh, no, can't poop. Oh, well, I guess we're not going to poop today. And so the first thing, by the time you get to your destination, if your body is already decided not to release any waste. Now, a lot of people talk about traveler's illness, just traveler's diarrhea, and picking up all these problems and things. The real reason for getting traveler's diarrhea is the constipation. In other words, that these organisms get into your body, but they don't get out. They get in and they stay. So if you maintain this flow of 3 bowel movements a day throughout your travels, then your chances of getting a problem while you're traveling are greatly, greatly diminished. Now, also in Vitality Capsules, in the regular, you've got clove, which is phenomenal for parasites, and you've got garlic, which is also phenomenal for parasites. And so together, those are going to protect you from getting infections while you're traveling and eating unfamiliar food, maybe in an unfamiliar country or state or city. So the Vitality Capsules have anti-parasite herbs built into them. And these herbs work very well. And so it's important to take your Vitality Capsules with you when you travel and to maintain those 3 bowel movements a day. And with the clove and the garlic in the regular strength, those parasites are going to go right through you into the toilet and you won't even know they were ever there. That's the regular. The extra strength has the cayenne pepper, which gives a big push, and it has the garlic. And again, same thing. Those parasites, they'll come in and say, we're not staying. We're not hanging around here. We're out of here. We're gone. Okay, out of here. So very, very important. Personally, I do not travel without Vitality Capsules. Years ago, I used to travel without my Vitality Capsules, and every single time I regretted it. And when I went to China, I did not bring my Vitality Capsules. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did not bring them. I was there for 2 weeks, and about 6 days in, I realized I was in trouble. The extreme constipation from just sitting in an airplane seat for 20 hours, well, actually 2 seats, 1 seat for 10 hours, then another seat for 10 hours. And then the trains and everything, just incredible sitting, had literally blocked me up. And so finally I said, okay, I'm going to buy something here in China, whatever it is. I'm going to buy it and take it. And I had a friend that I was visiting, and she translated, and we went from pharmacy to pharmacy. And they don't have pharmacies like we do, but they have these herb shops, and the herb shops sell both or whatever. And we could not find anything that was even close to being as effective as Vitality Capsules. So take your Vitality capsule with you. It'll stop you from having to detour and look around for something to help out. So travel is huge, huge, huge. Now, the other thing that Vitality capsules are helpful with is if you develop, let's say everything's going fine, no problems. But if you develop an issue like a cold or pneumonia or a severe pain, then taking an extra 1 or 2 Vitality capsules will pump more toxins out of your system and get rid of those symptoms and really get rid of the cause of the symptoms. So increase your water and take another 1 or 2 Vitality capsules in addition to your usual dose. Now, for those of you who are using Vitality capsules for the first time, the first day you take 1 with your largest meal. The second day you take 2 with your largest meal. And each day you increase by 1 until you're pooping 3 times a day. Everybody is different. Some people need 1 Vitality capsule every other day. Some people need even 10 Vitality capsules in 1 day. Everybody is different. And it's almost impossible to guess how many Vitality capsules a particular individual is going to need. So you just have to be patient and realize you're going to get there and just increase by 1 capsule a day. And then you will reach 3 poops a day, and then you can take whatever number of capsules you need to maintain 3 bowel movements a day.